there, Trash Fam. 'Tis I, Praxis Descends, here with a bunch of nerds to do a trek in the stars. If you are here prepared to be involved in Dragon Age, then you've got the wrong week. That was last week and next week, not this week, because tonight is Star Trek. For those of you who are new or just very forgetful, these are the continuing ventures of the Star Trek Iskandar, which is Starfleet, Starship, Star something,
Star Wars,
Starman Iskandar, which is great. And I've thrown myself off a rhythm now. Can we start again, Mike?
It's not going to be a long intro, she said, and then did this.
No.
I never believe her when she says that.
Oops. So, anyway, Iskandar is the ship that... I can't do it! I fucked it up and it's all gone terribly wrong. I'm sorry, everyone. It's really warm and I'm quite warm. So, for those of you who are still here and haven't just clicked out in horror,
rage,
horror, this is the If You Trash Crew presents the continuing ventures of the USS Iskandar, which is usually a stream wherein the 4 crew members that you see on screen, who are me, Izzy, Kath, Emily, and Michael, who are all the crew of the Starship Iskandar, who take it in turns to hot seat GM. However, for this special adventure that we are in at the moment, we have a perhaps familiar face to some of you, our guest GM, Sable Whisper, who is a big Trek head and volunteered to kindly come and run this game for us. So welcome to episode 2 of Star Trek Iskandar, The Old Enemy. Now, with traditional, perhaps even lesser games, I would hand over to Sable Whisper, who would do perhaps a breakdown of what happened last episode. But as we all know, this is Star Trek, and the best way to recount the events of previous episodes is through a good old-fashioned captain's log. So I think I'm going to hand over to our Captain Athan, as played by Kath, who will bring you all up to speed. Spoilers if you missed last week's episode. But the great thing about Star Trek is you don't have to have watched last week's episode to be up to speed very quickly. So once again, I'm sorry, Trash Fam, and take it away, Kath.
Thank you, Izzy. Captain's log, supplemental. If all is well, no soul will ever hear these words, and yet I will not record this as my own eulogy. I refuse. So I shall make my log. The Iskandar reported to the distress call of a Romulan ship that had crossed the neutral zone. Upon arrival, a Vastar-class destroyer named Meraxes uncloaked, hailed us and instructed us to evacuate their crew and immediately destroy the vessel. Before we could, a transwarp rift opened for the arrival of a Borg sphere. We scrambled to beam the Romulans off their ship, but we recovered only 2 before the Meraxes was transported within the sphere. One of the recovered officers was a Major Vlaneth, commanding officer. He warned me that the Meraxes was a test bed for a new kind of cloaking device, one that cannot, under any circumstances, be allowed to remain in Borg hands. He is too badly injured to join an away team, and in Romulan fashion refuses to divulge delicate information on Romulan secrets to anyone but myself as the Iskandar's captain. As such, I must lead an away mission to the sphere. Due to conditions aboard of limited breathable atmosphere and heat reaching up to 50 degrees Celsius, we will need EV suits for this mission. Find the Meraxes, find her cloaking device, deploy the isodynium explosives to destroy it. If we can, we will rescue the Meraxes' crew. Accompanying me will be Ensign Casey and Lieutenant Strange for their broad knowledge, Lieutenant Vance as Chief of Security, and Commander Talandra. Protocol to protect the ship's chain of command is of lesser significance when the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The Borg cannot be allowed to recover as a galactic power armed with this cloaking device. My team have been told the barest minimum, but they're no fools. They'll have guessed our target is cloaking technology. And still, I have told them very little. And still, I ask them to follow me. And still, nobody can know the truth. To board a Borg ship is madness enough, and yet we must do so, with our mission shrouded in secrecy, even from our own. It will be the bravest thing I've ever seen, and if we're successful, nobody will ever know. If we fail, the galaxy will have far more concerns than one small ship of lost heroes. And yet, onward. Onward to the stars, to echo one of humanity's earliest rallying cries to spaceflight. It's what's called all into service, every single one of this crew. I am prouder than I knew to call myself their captain. Wherever we came from, why ever we are here, if we chose Iskandar as our home or not, we are bound by that common aspiration to look up, to see the stars, and to reach for the light. But today we face that dark between the stars, our greatest foes. The antithesis, by their very nature, of all that we are. So, onward. We'll confront it with as much resolve as we reach for the light. We are Starfleet officers. We must. We will. So, onward. End log.
All right. So, you've made what preparations you can. And Ensign Tarek, your ops officer, having completed some scans of the damaged sphere, has presented your away team with some options for where to transport onto the sphere. And by the way, to the folks in the audience, I am more than happy to process helps and hinders for the duration of this particular chapter of Iskandar. Major helps and hinders won't work. It's too short of a session really to justify them. Moderates, I suspect, would be difficult but not impossible to work out. So it's mostly going to be minors. And you can redeem those in the following ways. You can just hang out with us and generate trash bags, or you can pay actual latinum, real galactic Earth monies to make them suffer or prosper. I mean, I guess that's technically possible. I've heard it happen. It's apocryphal, maybe, but I've heard of it. That out of the way, you are presented with 3 possible transport sites for your away mission. You're muted,
You are
Captain.
muted, Cap.
Just realized it. Just told me. Where are we? Where are we having this IC conversation?
Briefing room, usually.
Dean, yes. So it's back in the conference room. Okay. Commander, Lieutenants Ensign. Ensign Tarek has presented us with 3 options. There are only so many locations aboard the Borg sphere where we can pierce their damaged shields and get on. There's the interstitial Xeno complex. Looks like that's going to be a long way around, but we won't have many drones. It will allow us to, it will give us an opportunity to try to rescue Marex's crew, but it will take time. The ancillary assimilation module, most direct route, passes apparently a lot of the regeneration alcoves according to some of our scans. but that will allow us, hopefully, immediate access to the assimilation chamber. The third is the tertiary ectomatrix. It's on the opposite side of the sphere from the assimilation chamber, so there we won't even get a chance at rescuing the Meraxis' crew, but it should be close to some of the Borg information hubs. We might be able to regather intel. However, for my part, I think we have to rescue the Meraxis' crew. So I'm open to suggestions. Really, the issue becomes of, are we at a state of, if we have a run-in with any drones, do we think we can get our way through them?
There is also the issue, Captain, of how long it'll take if we do take the route that doesn't have as many drones. If that's going to take a long time, then we may not actually have enough time to get to the Romulan vessel.
There is the risk that the sphere is going to be taking all of this time to repair from the damage it suffered at the Meraxis' hands.
Based on the information that we have received, Captain, and what can be a fair assumption, if the sphere is indeed damaged, we should not expect that these drones will act like crew and defend the vessel, but that it will be, as it were, all hands on the repairs.
That is true. So, we're going to take the gambling route, are we? I will concur. We will have to make sure that, take what little time that this will give us to try to ensure that our phasers are going to modulate their frequencies as randomly and automatically as possible, if that's something which everyone can get to work on. I still don't anticipate we're going to have more than a handful of shots before our phasers are effectively useless. I hate to say it under those circumstances. I really don't recommend any of the four of us, and at this valuable gesture to everyone who isn't Talandra, engages in hand-to-hand combat with the Borg. I don't particularly recommend Talandra does, but she's probably the only one of us who actually has the strength to be able to have a chance at doing it. So, we are going to be going through the regeneration alcoves. Get ready to run. I think that may be our secret power here.
Yes, Captain.
Captain.
Commander.
It's perhaps not a pleasant topic, but given the severity of the mission we are to be going on and the unique situation that the members of the crew will find themselves in, do we have a protocol for should what you may call the unthinkable happen?
I'm thinking of several unthinkables, but certainly they cannot be. You yourself, Commander, have highlighted the Borg cannot be allowed to assimilate the information in my head. Were you thinking of a different disaster scenario? Because I'll leave that to everyone's individual choices.
That is the disaster scenario I was considering, but also that any member of Starfleet in our current situation would offer the Borg updated information on Starfleet information and protocols.
Then I will give that order. We are not to allow any of our team, any of our crew, to be assimilated by the Borg by any means necessary. That includes me.
Yes, Captain.
Yes, Captain.
Right. Kit up, suit up, and report to Transporter Room 1. You have your orders.
Aye, Captain.
Right, Captain.
You go and put on your EV suit, set your phasers to a rotating modulation. It never helps, but they always do it.
There are things you got to do when they're a Borg.
You just have to give it a try.
It makes us feel better.
By the time you've gotten into the situation where you're firing on drones, you've definitely made some poor life choices. So you went with the ancillary assimilation matrix, did you?
Yes.
We went with
Auxiliary assimilation module.
option 2, the highest risk to personal life and limb.
A lot of regeneration outcomes.
Yes.
That's
All
the
right.
best chance for us.
So, once you beam into the ancillary assimilation module, you will all be under the effects of the aspect Hands of the Hive. Which means anything that you do on the sphere that you don't want drones to observe you doing will take a -2 penalty while you attempt to do them covertly.
Oh.
No. No.
No? Okay. Okay. And you assemble in Transporter Room 1. Major Vlaneth has accompanied you to wish you well. Well, not Romulans don't really do well wishing, but he's accompanied to see you off. The transporter chief is standing by. Ready on your order, Captain.
Thank you, Chief. Major, any last suggestions?
I'm sure you are more prepared for this than my suggestions could possibly assist with. Best of luck to you, Captain, if you believe in that sort of thing.
At this point, I think I'll take pretty much anything.
I will be on your bridge as you've commanded, ready to give you any information I can.
Appreciated. Thank you, Major. Right. Onto the pad. We move, and I'm just sad that we don't have cool Discovery-era flak jackets, and nor will we actually beam in sensible kneeling poses, because we're not in that era.
It was very fashionable a long time ago. They got out of that.
Energize.
You are killed, and copies of you materialize.
Transporter phobia is colouring your roleplay.
It's an extreme reaction to an. I mean, shuttles do exist, but all right. There is a minor hinder in effect.
Wait, what?
Well, like the very moment I mentioned that hinders would be a thing, the Lord of the Hinderkind are interiority.
Interiority. I
got the Borg.
am going to remind Interiority that the 4 members of the Iskandar are going to see him next weekend.
And as you rematerialize in the transporter room of the Iskandar, your transporter chief looks a little concerned. Apologies, Captain. One moment, there's some sort of scattering in effect. I think I can refract the beam. Think that's worked. Ready on your order again, Captain?
Not going to ask where think is coming into this under the circumstances, but at your say-so, Chief. Energize.
You dematerialize, and
Die.
You are the thing that hits you is the darkness. You don't feel any change in temperature, of course, because your EV suits keep things pleasantly room temperature. However, you have not all arrived in the same place.
We haven't.
It's a classic.
Shit.
The transport beams, you have almost all arrived in the same place, but Captain Athan is nowhere to be seen. Captain Athan, you've arrived in the same place as yourself. None of the others are anywhere to be seen.
Wait, no, this will make it so much easier for me to play Athan and Vance. So,
So angry.
Call that a hinder?
I call it drama.
Interesting.
Oh no.
So angry.
I'm delighted.
I cast one-upsmanship on myself. I'll have to try better, obviously. You have, well, all of you have arrived in a room that meets this description, though it's not always the same room. You've arrived in a long chamber where on either side of you there is a row of regeneration alcoves. There are actually 2 levels, and on both levels are rows entirely filled with regeneration alcoves. Every single alcove is occupied by a drone. For a single moment, you take this scene in before, as one, every drone's eyes open. But they do not move.
Who are we with first, GM?
Let's start with the captain then. Privilege of rank.
I want to first look at the fact that Than's skill set makes her fucked. And second, pull out a tricorder, because one thing Athan wants to figure out right now is to what extent she is going to have a great big target on herself, according to Borg sensors, if she, say, opens a comm line, anything like that.
You detect, first of all, the only non-Borg life signs in the range of the tricorder appear to only be a few rooms away, and you can furthermore you can detect active Starfleet comm badges on them.
Or only a few rooms away. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let's do this nice and subtle. Do I have a direction?
Yes.
I am going to very swiftly, silently scurry like a Starfleet captain in the direction of the rest of the away team.
Can you please make me some sort of sneaking about test? And because of the loose grating on one part of the floor and a minor hinder from Muffy Malloy, please take a -2 penalty to that.
Well, I have no ranks in stealth.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Why would I have ranks in stealth?
I think even Strange has ranks.
Okay, 3, so that's... I've rolled a 3, so that's down to a 1 with the -2, so that's 1. That could have been worse.
Mm-hmm.
So you move as quiet as possible, but you put weight on the loose panel and it clangs back down and you lift your foot up and you freeze. But none of the drones have moved. They're all staring straight ahead, by the way. None of their eyes seem to be tracking you.
Okay. Keep moving. Aren't going to care about sound. They're going to react to a threat. They know I'm here. They just don't think I'm important. Let's keep it that way for now. Scurry. Professional scurrying.
Professional scurrying. I'm going to take the liberty of assuming that once they realised the captain was missing, the away team also took out their tricorders.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, someone will. Vance has definitely got his fucking rifle and not pointing it at any drones, but it is ready. Other nerds can scan.
Yeah, Casey will opt for a tricorder rather than any form of phaser at this point.
The door out of the chamber opens with a bit of remodulation from your tricorder, mimicking the presence of a drone. And the door opens up, and across from another one of these long alcove-filled hallways, the two halves, sections of the away team spy each other.
Approach.
Whatever.
Report.
We awaited your return, Captain.
All right. Looks like the scattering wasn't that bad. I'm fine. They didn't react to noise either. It's difficult to fully understand exactly what activates drones, but
Upon our arrival, these drones opened their eyes, but have made no movements.
likewise. I say they know we're here, they just don't think we're important, so we should wait until the very last minute to be important. My fear is that they may find us more important when we try to free the Meraxes' crew, however. Has anyone pick up any life signs? I'm not entirely sure what drone life signs will look like, but we're looking for Romulan life signs.
Anyone currently actively scanning, please make me an ops roll. Everyone who's not currently active scanning, please make me a perception roll.
I'm going to go for that.
So things I can do.
+4, -2, +2, 4 on an ops roll for me.
Okay, great.
Both my characters get a 2 on notice.
I got a 4 on my ops roll.
Hey!
Remember what Mummy told you?
Play nice.
We're playing nice.
Talandra, well, I rolled a botch on my notice roll,
Okay,
and it comes out at like a -4.
that's fine. In this particular instance, you simply don't notice anything. Those of you with tricorders, you both notice you have to expand the scanning range a little, but you can pick up unverified humanoid life signs in a small cluster a few chambers away. Both percepting characters.
Mhm.
Puppets.
Particularly since one of them is Captain Athan, who did the thing. The very moment that you utter the phrase "rescue the Meraxes crew,"
Oh no.
the nearest few drones' eyes snap towards you. Their heads don't move, but they are looking at you.
Athan and Vance just sort of slowly turn. Captain, might I recommend we're under all fully aware that they can understand and hear everything and see everything that we're doing? Yes, Lieutenant, that's become quite apparent to me. So.
We have the life signs.
You have the life signs. Good. Then let's get on with that, our primary mission. Which way?
He
over
will,
this way.
yeah, just lead.
Vance will move up to basically not let Ensign Sammy Casey take point in a Borg queue.
You make your way. Drones still don't move, but new eyes follow you as you move out of the way of the old ones. You must by now have passed approaching 500 drones. And you reach a door, but it does not respond to your remodulations. You get a no sound from the tricorder.
Ensign, what's the door?
Yeah, he will kind of move out to it, give it a bit of a proper look as to what might be causing it to not respond to the tricorder.
Bloop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. I think it's an ops check.
Garbage. Raw garbage.
Don't forget we have fate points and you as an ensign have a metric fuck ton.
That's true. I can re-roll with one of those, right?
presumably.
I would love that. I would
Yeah,
love
a fate. Sorry, yeah, fate points, as far as I understand it, can either add a +2 or allow you a reroll.
No, I will-
Also, don't forget your human ability. Can't you re-roll use your one particular aspect like every scene instead of every session?
that's a great idea, but I've already picked up the dice and forgotten what my original roll was. So I'm gonna use a fate point to
like it.
reroll.
Yes, but you got to spend a fate point by invoking an aspect.
Oh, forgive me. It's been
Should
so
be
long.
brightest mind of the generation or whatever the shit it is.
Just
Yeah.
teaching everyone how to play Fate for a second.
Do. Hey, some of my life aspects are missing on this character sheet. Yeah, he does have the aspect. I am one of the greatest minds of my generation. It's not
One of the brightest minds of my generation, and that's the one which you can use every scene as opposed to once a session because you're a human.
And it's becoming fiercely ironic.
And I think
Wow.
like be efficient when we're on a Borg sphere.
I know this is stressful, and
Emily, where are you getting?
I have one piece of paper with all of these written on. It's great. It's such a good piece of paper.
if
We do not have stunts.
it's any help, I still got -1. So,
Okay.
Sammy.
chaboy.
You are not at all sure why it's not responding to your remodulation. It's worked every time so far.
Let's have a look.
However, everyone who is not Mr. Ensign Sam Casey, please make me a notice roll.
Yeah, I was going to
Samuel
say
Casey.
Vance is
Well, I
definitely
heard someone say Sam. That's the only reason I said Sam.
Samuel. It's,
Amy.
Also, everyone, I've just realised night has fallen and I've not turned my light on. Why didn't anyone tell me I'd been sat here sinisterly staring at my...
You should make your screen green right now to mimic the inside of a Borg vessel.
I don't know how to do that.
I
Well, you
thought
open
were doing
paint
it on purpose.
and you can fill it with green.
Give me a second.
That's what I'd do. But I'm a nerd.
Well, I got a -2 on my notice.
Well, that's
Yeah.
not so good.
Not
Vance
so
gets a 4, Athan gets a 1, which makes sense because Vance would have been while the nerds are doing work, like
good.
scanning the area.
I'm
That's true.
distracted.
Well, Vance, you notice when you attempt the remodulation and you get that sound from the tricorder, the movement of heads in the alcoves now looking down at you, looking across at you.
And
I
like
hate
Casey's in full kind of focus on his tricorder. He hasn't noticed any of this going on. He's now fixated on the I must solve this problem. And he's like quietly muttering to himself whilst running through various failed attempts to remodulate to try and interface with this door.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm pretty sure that the more we do here, the more likely it is that they're going to get themselves active. They've definitely noticed us fiddling with the door. So, it clearly ain't, 3 strikes and we're out, but I don't really want to find out how many strikes we've got.
I don't understand this. I don't know what they've done.
Ensign, we don't need to necessarily know. It would be good to know what's on the other side, but the important thing is that we need to head in this direction. I believe, Lieutenant Strange, you're up for getting us through this door. Even if we have to be a little bit more engineeringly brute forced. Everyone else, keep your eyes on these drones, and I hate to say it, I think we'll know when they've decided enough's enough. But also, Lieutenant, any assistance that you need, be careful. We have the time. We have picked this transporter spot because of its proximity. It is important that we get this right, because if we get this wrong, we will be overwhelmed by drones. We can afford to be slow and steady.
Understood.
I present to you 3 possible solutions to this problem. An engineering solution, a computing solution, and a brute strength and ignorance.
Engineering solution.
Please turn to page 34 for an engineering solution.
The engine eats you.
Yeah, okay. Roll me an engineering check, please.
Is this at any kind of -2s or anything?
If you're trying to do it covertly, yes.
Yeah, of course I'm trying to do it covertly at this point.
Don't forget to flag any aspects that might be relevant before you roll.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good.
Good.
So let's
Copy
see.
little shit.
At a -2, I get +7.
Oh, bloody
Oh,
bloody
boom!
hell.
Can I then get a quick rules clarification? Because I realise that I'm making assumptions about the fate that we're using. In that for us, the fate core aspect you will utilise if you want to spend a fate point, which will usually be done after a roll to either give you a re-roll or a +2. You don't need to worry about your aspects before you roll, because usually you invoke them to change things or when something goes wrong. Is that how you are running it, Mr.
I'm absolutely happy to do it the other way. I got into the habit as a player of doing it before I rolled, and only in emergencies doing it after I rolled, because I like to be sure beforehand. But as a G, I'm perfectly happy to do it before or after. That's the point of fate. I'm absolutely happy with that.
Cool. Even if we just go, I'm using this, it doesn't really have much necessarily statistical benefit, but I'm calling on it if I need it, damn it.
Yeah. Okay, fine. So you unlatch a casing that's near the door, and you manage to trigger one of the door servos, which effectively is a manual override, but a bit more elegant because it's Borg and they don't really do manual.
They don't do manual, but
but
if the Borg did manual overrides,
if the Borg did manual, you would have just found it. And the door swings open.
Oof.
And because you rolled so well, you probably managed to do it covertly as well. But I mean, except the door opening, they'll see that, but they won't see how you did it.
Good work, Lieutenant.
Yes.
Right. Press on. Casey, Lieutenant Vance, take point. Ensign Casey, let Lieutenant Vance, by all means, lead him, but by all means, let our Chief of Security go first.
Of course.
of course.
You enter a room that gives you the most powerful chills you have felt since you first heard the Borg transmission, for you have entered an assimilation chamber. Here, the Borg's perverse version of biobeds lie in uncomfortably tight proximity, presently unattended and unoccupied. But it is unavoidable for you. It is unavoidable for you to not imagine all of the civilizations that may have ended or begun their end in this room. There are no drone alcoves here. There are no active drones here. There are no occupants of any kind.
Press on.
We should remember this location if we need to fall back while the drones are restrained and need to plan beyond their prying eyes.
Press on.
Press on. There is no door at the end of this room, but a floor-to-ceiling force field. Beyond it, through the green shimmer, you can see another assimilation chamber. And you can see shadows cast from within it.
Before we breach this force field, Lieutenant Strange and some Casey, what can we do to ensure that we can safely transport, should we find them, the crew of the Meraxis aboard the Iskandar? What do we need to do? Presumably boost a signal in some way so that the Iskandar sensors can pick them up, just via our comm badges.
And we will need to take into account that we've already been scattered.
However, hopefully that will be less of a concern on Well, if we could have just beamed them out, we would have done so already. But is it practicable? Can we do it from here, do you think? Can we save them?
Mr. Jem, I would like to
Yeah, we would
theorize
do it.
on this.
I love theories.
Yay.
I'm. Do you want me to mention an aspect now?
What are you thinking?
Well, I'm going to go for my academy aspect of constantly seeking the approval of my superiors. I know
Right.
it's not strictly the time from a kind of attention perspective, but at the same time, I do want their approval, and I think saving lives will get their approval.
You'd hope so.
Samuel, it's always the time to seek the approval of your betters.
That isn't bad on the dice. What am I rolling with?
Are you attempting to hack the force field down?
This will. This is almost creating an advantage in a sense of I want to put the theory solid as to the things that we need to transport any survivors that we find. I'm leaving the force field be for now. The question I was posed was, what do we need to get them out? And so I want to make that easier, and even if that's getting science ring in the background now.
Okay. First of all, what is your transporter and replicator rating?
Oh, one.
Okay. So this is probably an ops role to understand these systems and things steps you take.
So that will be a 3.
Okay. The obvious answer is transport enhancers, which I am prepared to sell you for transport enhancers if someone wants to tag the aspect, good thing I remembered transporter enhancers, which I remembered, but I haven't heard mentioned yet. But for a fate point, I'm willing to... probably strange to have remembered that they might be a thing.
I'm happy. I like that. I like if Casey's in the middle of kind of
Just,
setting this
I
out.
love, like, points
mention-
and resources for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it means that he has the ability to support Casey without being a knob about it.
So
I don't give a knob about Kevin.
But rather than going, somebody forgot transport enhancers, going, oh, I have those, and thereby helping show to Landra that you can work well together.
yeah, so he's kind of mid screed and stops to say, if we only had transport enhancers, then this would be easier.
Well, fortunately, we have some.
And like sheer, his face goes from I've doomed us all to just kind of sheer thankful relief. And then like it lasts for a moment, and then he just goes back to kind of running down, just like off the top of his head numbers as to percentage of likelihood to escape from transportation from this location, the location we were in, considering the scramblers, that kind of thing.
All right. So then what we're saying is it can be done. Thank you.
Yes.
Good work. Right. How long is it going to take you to deploy the transporter and the pattern enhancers, Lieutenant?
Let's see. How many of the crew have we got?
There's 8. There's 17 or 18?
18, I think.
18.
Yeah.
There were 20.
Yes. Sorry, there are 19. Yes. Because I keep forgetting. I know that 2 got rescued and 1 will have definitely killed himself, but I lost track of if that means
I
that
think we started with 20, so we've got 17.
got 17. I think so. I'm saying 17 now, unless the GM wants to correct me.
Sounds right.
Okay. Sticking with 17.
We'll go with 17.
Yeah.
Okay, so 17 Romulans, 4 pattern enhancers. We've had that problem, so we'll need to overcome that.
So,
How long do we reckon it's going to take?
Strange, make me an ops roll.
What is mine? Oh,
Or a science roll, whichever's better for you.
I'm going to go for a science roll. Any negatives applied?
No,
Or is this just for figuring stuff out?
it's just you figuring it out. Yeah.
6.
Oh, good, excellent. So you, because I imagine in the couple of hours you've had to get ready for this mission, you've all been desperately reading up on previous away missions to Borg vessels. You know that the assimilation chambers are among the more heavily shielded parts, because that's where they beam everyone, and they don't want them being beamed out
Beamed
no
back
matter how
out.
bad things are going. So your best bet is either going to be find a way to bring down the assimilation chamber shielding, because your pattern enhancers probably won't be enough to get through that, or you're gonna have to rescue the Romulan prisoners, escort
And
them
physically move them.
back to where you beamed in, and the transport enhancers should probably be enough to compensate for the scattering effect that you encountered, but it would mean, of course, backtracking through
an awful lot of ground.
the field of drones.
So these are our 2 options.
How far away is the Meraxes? Unfortunately, I'm thinking about doing this on the return journey, but
Yes.
I want to know our options.
Um,
How far away is the Meraxes?
yeah, how far away is the Meraxes? Scanny.
Yeah, well, yeah. Based on the plans that you've looked at when you were planning this heist, for that is what this is, and the fact that none of you disguise as plumbers is actually pretty upsetting. Actually, the staff uniform is kind of plumbery in this era, so they're all in jumps. You are probably, assuming you're not interrupted by anything annoying like fleeing from drones or some
Like
force
the
field.
Borg.
Like, yes, assuming the Borg literally just leave you to it. Best case scenario, you're a good quarter an hour away from reaching the vehicle assimilation bay. You have a couple of alternate possibilities that Tarek worked out for you. It might be up to half an hour, which would be the worst case scenario. Well, the second worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is that they put up too much of a fight, and you can't get to it at all. And the only solution is to haul ass.
Very well. Lieutenant Ensign, I want you to study this force field so that the controls, so that you can bring it down as quickly as possible, and we are going to have to return for these people. One of my intentions is that hopefully we can use the explosives that we have to cause enough chaos that, frankly, us coming back here to break in and rescue people from an assimilation chamber.
The explosion and not trying to deal with us.
Hopefully. So you have 2 minutes to study it, and then we're moving on.
Yes. So you have at the very least the benefit of being in an assimilation chamber that doesn't have any drones in it. And if you assume the systems work the same way, you can either study this one, which is inactive, or try and go through and study the active one.
No, we are not going through.
Okay.
So for the inactive one.
Lovely. Okay. I would like an engineering role.
Well, the dice were shocking. However, the other numbers are good. And so that makes it a 1.
Oh my goodness, what did you roll?
Goodness.
I rolled a +1 and a -5.
Oh, brutal.
The dice were bad.
You are well trained in engineering. Assuming that you have the time, you believe that essentially you're going slightly further into the core of the sphere. Based on what you've been reading up, you know that towards the core is where the Borg always put the essential systems, so that if a ship's destroyed, the core of the vessel can be recovered. You have every reason to believe, and in fact, Major Vlaneth said to you all, in the event of a catastrophic explosion at the core of the sphere where the Meraxis is being stored, the Borg will probably shunt power away from this area.
Uh-huh.
In that event, you should find it relatively easy, even if for only long enough for a single mass beam out. Full spread, as Janeway is so fond of saying.
Coffee, full spread.
Full coffee, full spread. Blah.
Nutella, full spread.
Why not? That you should be able to confuse the systems long enough, assuming you get your enhancers down as quickly as you can, to get the transport completed and then make use of them yourself before the collective reestablishes control. There are other possibilities if you do not have that time. One of them being, you could try, in advance of proceeding to the Meraxis, you could try to reroute the power nodes in so that any damage done to the central core creates a power cascade and effectively blows up the
Shuts
shielding
out.
in the assimilation chamber. However, from the moment you make that hack to the moment of exploiting it, you put yourself on a timer for them noticing it and undoing it. It is the most efficient solution by a long way, because you can put the pattern enhancer down, fire and forget, but it will have to be delicately timed.
I think I'm going to take a kind of hybrid first way and third way of some kind of brute force and ignorance later, of just, we'll see if the shields go down, and then if we need to brute force short circuit everything, we will brute force short circuit everything via whatever means necessary, which may be more explosives.
We do have a lot of explosives.
We have a lot of explosives.
Yes. You do not want to accidentally discharge your phasers in the direction of these explosives.
Captain Athon straps explosives to herself.
You
Maybe not.
on the recommendation of Major Vlaneth, between you are carrying 4 isodymium charges. You are basically walking photon torpedoes. That is not a good. I mean, it's very good now that you've got them inside the Borg sphere. That's great, as long as you're nowhere near them when they go.
Well, this will make sure that they don't take us alive.
Oh yeah. Bit extreme, but yes, it'll certainly do that.
It'll do the job.
Neat. Right.
Engineer's approximations multiply by 2.5, and then you take that much.
Yeah.
Let's proceed to the Meraxis then. I hate to say it, but these people are secondary priority. We will come back for them.
You must still, however, proceed past them.
Oh, we've still got to get through that force field. All right. Get that force field down then.
I don't have any brute force solutions for you. However, I have 3 options for you. I have a shooty option, an engineering option, and a computery option.
I think Athon's going to be gesturing to Strange at this point. Strange seems to be getting stuff.
It should be proving quite good at opening
Ideas.
doors.
I don't mean that against, but yeah. Also, yeah, Strange is Athon's favorite right now.
Plus, statistically speaking, Strange's next role should be good.
Like, it is impossible for me to get less than a 0 on engineering unless additional negatives are added.
Yeah.
In order of detectability,
Here we go.
they go shooty, engineering, computy. However, maybe you weigh up that the very, very good odds of succeeding on the engineering solution probably make it worthwhile.
I will put put our fate into Lieutenant Adam Strange's +5 engineering skill. I'm about to say this. We're about to fucking die.
We're about to fucking die.
Izzy's just looking spooky.
Hey, just so you're all aware, there is a minor help on offer if you decide to go with shooty.
Oh. I will take bribes for that later. You fucking do.
So, are there any negatives? So
if
why
you're
did I
trying
not-
if you're trying to do it covertly, but there are no drones watching you, so
I could still try and do that covertly.
For preference.
it's a good
Let
habit to
me,
get into, I guess.
let me just. Do I want to try and do it covertly or not? Because that wasn't a great roll. Or spend a fate point. How many fate points do I have?
Yes.
6?
I can't remember.
As a lieutenant, you should have 6.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm good.
As an O3 human, you've got 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that will negate. If you just spend the fate point, it'll just negate the covert issue, or you reroll.
You also have a minor help, so you can have a +2 to this because you find a breakthrough. Because after all, the ship is actually heavily damaged, so the Borg's resistance to your infiltration is less than it would normally be. So you can have a +2 to this from Owen.
Thank you. So is that a +2 and also the -2 for doing it stealthily?
Yes.
Can they just then cancel each other out?
Yeah.
Cool. In that case, +2 in total.
That's fine. You succeed. It takes a little longer than you had hoped. Maybe sort of more like 3 minutes than 1 minute. But you are reasonably sure, because no alerts go off, that you've managed to do so without tripping any of the sabotage sensors. And the force field flickers for a moment, like Izzy's lighting, and then is down. And you can see through into the main assimilation chamber.
This is going to be awful. Stick close. Keep your heads. Remember that we're coming back for these people. The mission comes first.
Hi, Captain.
Onward.
The primary assimilation chamber for this level of the sphere, and to be clear to everyone so that there is no cause for ambiguity, spheres carry a complement of between 10 and 13,000 drones. They're not tiny vessels by any stretch of the imagination. They could probably, well, I don't know if they actually have the assimilation bays for it. You could certainly fit a couple of Iskandars in here with room to wiggle around. This assimilation chamber, being one of several on the sphere, is obscene in scale. It operates on many levels. There are a few dozen alcoves on various gantries, almost all presently filled with drones. Of primary concern to you is one of the force-fielded chambers, in which a little less than 20 Romulans are sitting, standing, awaiting their fate. But one of them approaches the force field as you enter the chamber. Greetings.
Greetings from the USS Iskandar. We've met with your...
From Major Vlaneth?
Yes, we have. Then you understand that we have a mission to carry out here.
Yes.
We will be back for you.
We understand that your priority has to be destroying the Moraxis.
We will be back for you.
Understood, Captain.
If you can make sure, get yourselves ready to be able to, if any of your people can't walk, get ready to be able to help them. Hopefully we can get you all out of here direct, but we may have to move, and we may have to move fast.
We will be ready.
We will be back.
Good fortune to you.
And to you.
When we stepped a little way away from the Romulans, Talandra will lean in to Captain Athan and say, Captain, how feasible is it that once we have begun the destruction of the Moraxes, we will be able to return for its crew? It is quite a distance, and we are dealing with unstable Romulan transportation technology.
I know. I admit I hadn't expected them to be... I'd expected them to be incapacitated already. Unfortunately, right now, if we start lowering these force fields and letting 17 Romulans try to make their own way or bring them with us, I fear that will wildly raise our risks of being spotted and raise the alert on the ship. Do you think my assessment is incorrect?
I believe that it is a risk to bring the crew of the Meraxes with us. However, I think it is unrealistic to expect them to survive if we do not.
Well, we have to be able to try to get out of wherever we're heading, else we're not going to be transported off this ship.
Of course, Captain, I understand the risks.
There is a thump, a metallic thud, as a drone jumps out of an upper floor alcove and lands some 20 feet from you. It walks towards you.
Everyone hold. Get out of its way.
Step back into the side.
Flat itself against nearest wall.
An amount of backpedaling occurs.
Mm-hmm.
It stops just a little way short of where you're standing and looks you up and down. And your vision is overwhelmed by motes of green light. And you find yourselves standing in an assimilation chamber. Motherfucker. It's kind of trippy, actually, because of the weird way Borg transporters work, is that you materialize, seeing yourself 2 meters away, dematerializing.
Oh,
So they've just moved. Wait, they've just moved us, or have we gone into a containment cell?
They've blipped you into a containment cell directly opposite the Romulans.
we've been blipped.
Processing.
Lieutenant Strange, get us out of here.
On it.
Then I think we just are going to have to do this with taking the crew of Meraxes with us.
The drone is now walking towards you once again.
Quickly, let's get.
Passes through the force field
Mhm.
and stops. And opens its mouth and says, "Submit to assimilation. Resistance is futile." And then it turns and walks out of the force field.
Oh.
And clambers back up to its alcove.
Right. Our plan now is Lieutenant Strange is going to get us out of this force field. Lieutenant Strange is then going to free the crew of the Meraxes. And we are all heading for the Meraxes and doing this job. We may have to move very quickly.
Everyone roll me notice checks.
I don't like this. This just got worse, and I didn't think that was possible.
Oh, wait, no, those are my 2 positive dice. Let's not roll the 2 positive dice. They don't get added together.
Welcome to the Tomb of Horrors, Star Trek edition.
That didn't help.
Oh,
I have a 0.
sweet boy, do you have no notice? That's
Oh,
about right.
Oh, sweet boy.
Oh, sweet boy. It's a 4, but... Oh, wait, no, he does. Oh, thank goodness. It's a 6.
6 is very, very good.
I mean, a 4 would have been very, very good.
yeah, like a
Michael.
2 is very good.
Like, we should point out, a 1 is a success.
Okay,
Vance gets a 1. A
I have
third
a
gets
0.
0 point.
okay.
No.
Well, 6 is going to notice it first. Your eyes are, as you watch the drone passing back out of the force field after you're basically told to just sit down and shut up and wait for it. You spot your tricorders sitting out on the floor from where you were beamed out.
They didn't transport the tricorders in here with us.
Of course they didn't.
You also notice Now that you are prompted to do so, you notice that your weapons have been disabled.
I will let someone else be the one to notice that. I am staring at my tricorder.
Probably Vance. Well, even if you'd ordered me to
Tricorders.
shoot him, then that wasn't going to happen, Captain. They've disabled this. Oh, this is going terribly well. Is there anything that you can do with your bare hands, Lieutenant Strange? I know this is Borg, but you're a Starfleet engineer, so I'm eternally optimistic.
Wires are still wires, even if it's Borg, rather than on the Iskandar.
Ensign, if you can see about assisting Lieutenant Vance. In fact, everyone else, let's just see about if we can get our weapons working again.
Of course, Captain.
Are our con badges still functional?
They seem to be, yes.
My
There's-
role. So, my role is the less exciting. Is that I want Vance's weapon to work. I will get around to everyone else's, but I want Vance's weapon to work.
Okay.
I want to try and enable that weapon, please.
All right. What are your thoughts?
I do not know. What goes into the disabling of a weapon?
There are two ways to do it mainly. When your own transport... Well, make me a sign. I'm not going to give you this for free. What was just... silly boy. Make me a science roll, you...
That is a 8.
Okay. Crikey. You know
We
everything.
got the engineering boy and the science boy.
Good news. You've just become a member of the Q Continuum. This is going to go a lot.
That might say some nothing.
Oh,
But Strange has conflicting.
what
Who's
is
that?
What is that shrill noise?
That's you becoming a member of the Q Continuum.
Oh, okay, thank you.
That might be the actual Borg hacking our stream, which is really creepy.
Oh shit.
You... When your own transporters disable weapons when you beam them on board, usually it's because it's a weapon that that are catalogued by the transporter system, and they simply don't beam on board the well, in the case of phasers, it's a little nadion cell. They simply scatter that, so it's transported as a pile of dust. So it's either the power cells have been disabled or the nadion cells have been disabled.
Okay. So I'm going to try and jury rig a kind of a refunctioning power cell. Try and re-enable that.
Oh, what the fuck is that noise?
Who can hear that noise?
Emily, could you not hear squeaking? Not right now, but could
No.
you hear it? Now? You would know if you could hear it.
Yeah.
No.
You'd know.
Okay.
Maybe could you mute your mic when you're
Yeah,
not?
I'm about to say that.
Oh, it's
Ah,
oh.
That was definitely it.
That comes off instantly.
Right, so Emily can just never speak again.
It's fine, Emily's got a
Has
piece
it
of
come
paper.
back now that I've unmuted?
Okay.
No. No.
Make
But it was
me
periodic.
an engineering roll, please, Mr. Casey.
Oh dear. 4, 1, 3.
Okay. You are confident that you do not presently have the resources to solve your lack of a phase rifle problem. However, you realize from your ridiculous science roll just now that you may have a solution to your being stuck behind a force field problem. The Borg have scrambled your phase rifle's power cells, so they haven't actually done anything to what might be considered the ammunition part of it. If you were to take the nadion cell and Lieutenant Strange were able to rig that to a Borg power conduit, you'd probably be able to blow the conduit up.
Wonderful. I can envision it being he has Vance's rifle, and he's focused on this power cell and just muttering to the effect of, it's the power cell that they scrambled. There's absolutely no means by which I can get it unscrambled without looking at what they had done in order to put the Nadion. And he just like he rushes to Strange's side with the rifle, clutched.
Vance is like,
in no way clutch like aimed at him, but like gesturing it towards him with like a glint of unrestrained excitement that is very quickly diminished once he remembers the current environment. And it's like the Nadium.
You can say who he's talking to.
The Nadium cell. The Nadian cell. They haven't done anything. They've only scrambled the power cell. The Nadian cell is still fine, so that will give you an opportunity to reconfigure the ammunition into a means by which you can
Blow the conduit.
so we're blowing our way out, gentlemen.
I am going to see if there's a way of getting us out that is less explodey and attention grabbing.
I think attention is unfortunately going to be an issue regardless, but I'm alright in this conserving our explodey.
Yes. So
It's especially worth considering if we use finite resources to get ourselves out. We will only have finite resources to get the crew of the Meraxes out.
So we could blow the Romulans out of their cell and find a different way of getting ourselves out of our own cell. Let's start looking at alternatives.
Okay. I will present you with 3 alternatives. You have rig 1d3 of your phaser's Nadion cells to a Borg power conduit, essentially creating a very short fused stick of 24th century dynamite. You have see if you can beat the Borg Collective at hacking. And you see if you can beat several trillion brains all working against you. Or you have option C, get in there and wires are wires even if they're Borg, and see if that helps you.
You're going to get assimilated via wires.
I mean, I might get assimilated by
I mean,
wires.
I would probably compel the aspect Borg are Borg, even if they're wires.
Yeah.
They don't have wires. They have assimilation tubules that just run throughout the ship.
It's just wet work. The whole thing is neural gel.
Oh.
I mean, I definitely.
Even the floor.
I'm sure that there was an episode, and it might have been I think it was one of the early TNG episodes, one of the first times that they went onto a Borg vessel, and they said that there were definitely organic components to the vessels themselves, like they actually probably are using neural gel networks or
it makes
whatever.
sense. If they can make people drones, why can't they make people ships?
Yeah. I definitely think so. I definitely think the potential of the Borg has not been fully exploited by successive Star Trek writers. I'm here to try and do something about that. Make
Shows
Borg
that will not be
worse.
named Voyager.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. In that case, we'll save the wires of wires and Borg or Borg for later.
Yeah. Okay, so I give you out hacking the hive or 24th century Nadion dynamite.
I think I'm actually taking the dynamite. Regrettably.
Oh no.
There are no good options here. And I
Oh.
think this is the least worst.
In spite of my jocular tone, I did not mean to suggest that the hacking would be impossible.
Sure.
How's your operations or computers?
Yeah, exactly.
I believe in you. Not in character, but
No, not in character. Never in character.
Although we're listening to the First Contact soundtrack, we have finally got to Magic Carpet Ride, so I think it's time to blow shit up.
That my ops is probably not good enough for out hacking the Borg.
Let's do this.
So I think we're going with Explode and Run.
great.
All right. Fortunately for you, Explode and Run in this particular instance is an engineering role, since you've got to hook
Set up.
something up with true universal connectivity, which everything seems to have. Just plug your phasers, obviously, into a spare power outlet.
Yeah, just plug your faces into a spare bulk force field.
Yeah.
It'll charge them up, no bother.
Fairly normal.
Perfectly normal thing to do. So that is. There's not a way to do this stealthily, is there?
No.
There is,
No.
right up until it happens.
Oh well, it's a 6.
Okay. Okay. So a lot of things happen very quickly. Actually, no. One thing happens very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
And I would like.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Gosh, what is the check in this?
What? Wanting
To
to
It's
not
a
blow us
reflex
up.
save, but I don't know what the check
reflex.
is.
An athletics check?
Athletics check would be my guess.
I would like an athletics check
Or
from
possibly physique, but that might be kind of the roll after you failed the athletics
Yes.
check.
Lieutenant Strange, then an athletics check.
Fortunately,
Quite strange.
Strange, do you have any
I
aspects?
have 1 point in athletics.
Strange, do you have any aspects that are like, didn't get shot that one time and it's taught me a lot about my life?
As
No.
someone who's looked at your character sheet lately, you've got 2 blank aspect slots, so just very quickly write in, doesn't get blown up easily.
I'll never know.
The dramatic music is now ooby dooby. Try not to get blown up to ooby dooby.
Huh.
Okay.
+1.
Not a failure.
The dice was 0.
Oh, okay.
So my 1 point in athletics saves the day.
So, there is a sudden, high-pitched building whine that is emitted from the Nadion cell.
We heard that earlier.
So yes, it was diegetic. So loud that you can't hear Strange reporting that it's done. And Strange, you start to move out of the way, but it turns out ball power conduits are more efficient than you've taken into account. And you are caught in the blast.
No.
Fortunately, it's not an EPS conduit; it's Nadion's. So effectively, you've been hit with a very high power phaser blast. So you can take 4 levels of stress, or a a health condition of some kind.
I don't think we had. Do we have stress points in this one?
Uh-oh.
We certainly should.
Yeah.
That sounds like something we should have on our
Do you have any ranks of physique?
I do.
Right.
I have 1.
Okay, then you have 4 stress boxes. I believe. Yeah? Or is it 2 before you've got an extra stress box? Because the default is that you've only got 1 rank 1 stress box and 1 rank 2 stress box.
Right.
And I forget what rank of physique it goes up at. It might be 2 and 4.
Today, everyone, we're going to learn a bit about fate.
It's going to be super
This is-
important on how fucked he is.
And also, for fun fact for everyone, that I am running on a version of Fate that probably doesn't exist. That I played about 5 years ago, and I can see Mike looking up a newer version of Fate.
Oh dear.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, my version of Fate lets you avoid taking stress if you take an aspect.
Yes.
Yeah.
A consequence, yeah.
That
A
is-
consequence.
that is still
Yeah.
true. We're trying to figure out how many stress boxes Strange has.
So if
I
you
can kind
even
of
can,
decide which is the better choice.
Absolutely fine.
So
Do you know what,
decide-
actually? The explosion might be a good time for an advert break.
yes.
Hey.
And also a rules figuring out break, so we can decide what actually happens to
What
poor
actually happens to Strange?
Lieutenant
Wonderful.
Strange.
Find out after the break.
Find out after these words from our sponsors. I think today are Coke and I guess like Pringles. We'll be back in about 10
Star
minutes.
Trek Iskandar, sponsored by the Gallifrey Museum.
Oh.
Bye.
Vroom! Strange is thrown back cinematically. And lands conscious but very dazed on the metal floor of this assimilation cell. The rest of you were looking away, so you weren't dazzled by the very bright light. However, you have more pressing concerns. The force field is down. For now.
Ensign, help the lieutenant.
Yes.
Since Strange is down, Talandra is going to jump through the down force field and move to, I guess, break into the console on the other side of the force field of the Romulans to see if she can bring it down from within.
Oh, theirs isn't down, only yours.
Yes, as in I'm attempting to bring it down using my skills and talents.
Oh. I do not believe you have any access to it from outside of the containment cell.
Then ignore me. I will go back to brooding.
You go back to your Vulcan knitting, your Vulcan tapestries, which is so very important.
Lieutenant, are you still with us? It's strange.
Yeah, fine.
Casey will help him to his feet.
Right, we probably don't have much time. Let's grab our tricorders, and I think we're just going to have to take the crew of the Meraxis with us. This is almost certainly going to be bringing the drones down on our heads. Actually, Athan is going to take a fucking look, like step out of the holding cell and look up. Like there have been drones moving around in the alcoves. Is there any sign that shit got real?
The explosion.
Nope.
There's no sign. Can I see any drones?
Yeah, they're all still up there.
Okay.
Most of the alcoves here have got drones in them, not all.
I hate this.
That didn't activate them? What are they waiting for?
Let's not stick around to find out.
No, I think we have to take the crew with us.
Captain, will that slow us down for trying to succeed with the main objective? That's my only concern with taking the crew with us.
We're not wrong. I'm open to suggestions. If we send them off on their own to try to get their way out of here, that's not doing them any favors.
Captain, it's a decision that we must make quickly.
I think we might be better just making a run for it ourselves to the main chamber.
Captain, you must proceed to the Meraxis.
We're moving on. We're going to have to move on.
We can come back for them while the Borg are distracted with the fact that we've just blown up half of their precious toys.
Captain, we're officers of the Tal Shiar. We're all prepared to die for the Romulan Empire if necessary. Do not bear our weight on your conscience. Go.
I will bear your weight on my conscience, but we're going.
Gather up tricorders and our tricorders are in this room, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gather those up, give them a quick once over, make sure they're still functioning.
Vance is going to stall it. Is there any chance whatsoever that this thing is anything more than a fancy paperweight right now?
It's a club.
All right.
No.
All right. He's going to shift how he holds it to beat people with the butt of the rifle instead.
Okay. There is a large force field leading out of this chamber, and through it you can see a much larger repository of drones, thousands of drones.
Is that also our way to the Meraxis?
There is, you can't see the Meraxis, but you can see that out of your view, there is a very large open space on the other side of this force field.
Is that where we're headed?
Looks like it.
All right. Let's move. Quickly. If there's one thing I've never read the Borg doing, it's running.
Well, let's see if they do then. But ideally, let's not stick around long enough to see if they do.
So, I will present you with the same 3 options for bringing down the force field. You got a shooty one, you got an engineering one, and you got a computery one. The shooty one is the fastest and easiest to detect. The computery one is the hardest to detect, but probably the longest one to do.
I think we're probably gonna have to stick with our very lucky middle road because, like,
Mhm.
they're not down on our heads yet. So let's not tempt fate. Lol.
You had to say it. But yeah, no, I think we're sticking with the engineering approach.
Okay.
How's it working so far?
It seems to be working so far, so I see no reason to change tack just yet. Again, sneaky, is that an option here for the -2?
Yes, absolutely, from -2.
+5.
Okay. Could you please make me an athletics check?
Oh, again?
Sunny.
Have we changed scene yet?
No.
Cool.
You are endeavouring to do just that.
Oh, well, that's cocked on the floor and I don't know where that's gone. Let's roll one of the other ones that are available. That's also toxic.
May I invoke an aspect of Vance's?
Go on.
He has the aspect, literally all for one and one for all, with high athletics, and is going to be wary of shit blowing up. And we need this engineer. Like,
Okay.
I'm thinking if something's about to blow up, Vance is prepared to tackle and take some aggro.
Okay. I am going to... Let's find out what the result of Stranger's roll is, but I'll bear that in mind for
That's
you.
fair. It just doesn't sound good.
It is a -3.
Okay. Here's what I'm going to do then. I'm going to compel Lieutenant Vance's aspect, refunding a fate point if he's missing one.
No.
Acting on altruistic, comradely impulse and his, I assume, superior to 1 athletic score.
Yes.
You perceive the same thing that Lieutenant Strange does, which is a surge of power in the force field console. And you pull Lieutenant Strange out of the way, but are hit by a high power energy discharge. You can make me an athletics check to try to mitigate that.
That is flat 4 as I roll a 0.
Okay, good. That is very good.
Only 4.
You manage to, being tactically trained, you know where the suit's personal ion shielding is strongest, on the chest panel, where a lot of the suit's computer stuff is done. So you manage to position yourself so that the energy discharge strikes you there, and you only take a single point of stress.
Okay, yeah. Vance is just gonna kind of fly dramatically, fly in. So it'll be a grab, twist, push, and flatten himself out to take the worst of the blast from Strange, who will probably get pushed flying, and then stagger and probably go a bit briefly fetal after getting mildly blown up.
Yes, just mildly. What happens now? What terrible thing befalls our heroes? Okay, the force field comes down.
Did we get the wrong force field?
Everyone make me... No, because you successfully... You rolled a very good engineering check. You did the job.
I'm more thinking your Meraxis is in another force field.
Athletics checks.
Oh no, my red dice.
Really, really, really try very hard to roll well on these ones, chums. Any moderate helps or hinders would be surely welcome at this point.
Helps, surely.
+2!
I can just see dread because you've rolled 2, haven't you, Kath? You've
Vance is fine.
okay. Go no.
Oh no!
I got a 4. Just
Okay.
I mean, Vance didn't roll great. Vance still rolled a -2 and so gets a 2. Athan has rolled a -4
garbage.
and so gets a -2.
Oh no!
I don't think I can't really see. I assume I'm not really sure what we're trying to avoid happening here,
I
but
know.
I don't think there's any aspects of the Thans which really help with. Like Starfleet's not a mission of peace and exploration is literally no use.
No, negotiating with this particular situation, you will soon realise, is not going to help you. What did Talandra get?
2.
We have a help.
Help!
It just came in. We have a help.
Too little, too late.
You have helps. They can't send helps. It says here. What does that mean?
I think there was just a glitch. One has come through.
Yeah, we're not Twitch tech support. We can't help.
Okay. I have a minor help idea. I'm not just going to give someone a +2. I've got a much more interesting one for everyone. Okay. So just rattle off your numbers for me again, please.
2.
4.
2.
Oh, I like your -2. That's very good. Okay, then I think it's fairly clear what needs to happen now. Casey.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, smart cookie, ain't you? You realise that in the big old gigantic chamber where they keep all of the ships that they tractor and apparently can now beam in, they probably don't need an atmosphere. So you realise as the force field comes down, you're going to need to magnetise your spacesuit's boots pretty bloody quickly as the captain goes flying.
That's it. She's dead.
This is how it happened. However, what I'm going to do is all the people who rolled a +2, you stumble forward a bit, but you because I've got to imagine on these suits, it's got to be a pretty easy control to access for exactly this situation. Unexpected lack of pressure. I think the minor help is, Casey, you figure it out, and you realize because you see the captain making triple sure that her rifle is definitely just a big metal club. She is not going to be able to activate any of the emergency controls on her suit, even though they're definitely voice activated in the 24th century, but never mind that. She's not going to be able to do it. You, therefore, because these suits are cool, and they've got like a cool, augmented reality shit going on with them, you, instead of magnetizing your boots and stapling yourself to the floor, leaving your noble and heroic captain to a very grisly and plappy fate, instead, you allow yourself to be... You position yourself so that when the pressure drops and you're drawn forward, you're actually facing forward, and you lock on to the captain's suit signal and activate your suit's thrusters. And you endeavor a catch. You endeavor to fly out heroically like Superman and catch her before she plaps into something violently.
Oh, my dice yeet Athan out.
just Athan just gets yeets into an alcove, and then the drone's like, "What the fuck?" Ping. So what we're going to do here?
No yeeting the captain.
I don't think it's a pilot check. I don't think, because it's not. It doesn't strike me as like being a vehicle you externally
It's not
control.
really controlled enough.
I hate to say it's probably another athletics.
I think it's an athletics check because you are maneuvering yourself.
Okay.
So, I am first of all going to ask. Athan,
Yes.
why am I saying your name?
I don't know, but Destiny really, really doesn't like Athan tonight.
Faith doesn't.
Okay. I'm going to give you a single chance to grab onto something before you're flung into the void and left to the mercy of Samuel Case's having played Superman on the holodeck, so naturally being able to fly quite well. It's more of an Iron Man than a Superman situation, isn't it, with the rockets? So, Captain Nathan, would you please make a... Gosh, I think it's another athletics check.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not an athletics check. I think I'm going to make it different. We're going to make it a physique check, or possibly a might. Might.
Might? What's might? Is that fight? What's might?
Might is not on our lists.
Okay, then it's physique.
That's cool. Physique and athletics are actually the same, so
Yeah.
for Hassan.
Is might genuinely not one?
No.
Is?
Fight. Definitely not in any list that I saw.
Oh, okay.
If nothing else, I don't have it.
You're thinking of physique. Might and physique.
I thought physique was constitution. I'm happy for that. Okay, so what we're going to do...
Physique is constitution, I think.
It's both.
Oh,
think
I see. That's
It's
fine.
been rolled into one body stat.
So, make me physique check as there is a railing, and this is you manage to grab onto it, but are you going to manage to hold on in the face of underwhelming pressure?
That is a +4, so that makes it a 6.
Yes. Okay, so
2 and a 6.
that's a very good roll. So what I'm going to say is you grab on, you give the command activate thrusters, minimum thrust, and you grab hold of the bar. So essentially you prevent yourself from dislocating both shoulders at once, as you grab onto the railing. And Ensign Case, you manage to catch up to the captain, and you both end up landing on one of the gantries, uncomfortably close to a row of drones, I might add. Meanwhile, the others, the other three,
I'm just saying,
you watch this happen. You watch the captain zip out of the chamber, and then stop abruptly just as Ensign Casey catches up, and presumably reports in.
Yeah. Okay, Vance quietly has a heart attack.
this is strange.
I'm all right. Thank you, Ensign.
Not a problem, Captain.
Let's get back on that deck. If we can use thrusters and just slowly, very slowly, use thrusters to return to the deck from whence we came.
What a good idea. Unfortunately, interiority has hindered you. And as you get near, a secondary force field is emitted, that surrounds the party of three that are in the magnetized assimilation chamber floor.
I knew this party would get split at some point.
I mean, the worst thing about this is the Romulans are watching this happen and going, stuffly.
Yeah, at this point it's just embarrassing for us.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Lieutenant, Strange, do you have any access to anything on your side? Ensign, can we see anything out here which is controlling it?
I'll look accordingly.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, make the. It's not called. It's called. Not called perception. This is it. It's called the other thing.
There's
Notice.
investigate and there's notice.
Investigate then.
Oh, garbage.
What's my investigate numbers? Pretty good. That is a +3.
Okay. A +3. The field is not being emitted from anywhere obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a bit like. No, don't do that here. This is a Star Trek game, Luke. I'm not going to do it. So I'm trying to think of an analogy that's not a Star Wars reference.
You could.
It's like those ray shields on General Grievous's ship. They just appear,
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
that was what I was visualizing. To be fair.
projected from crikey knows where.
Hmm.
And then Captain Athan vanishes in a flicker of green sparks,
No.
and the force field is lifted. But the captain is gone.
This episode really wants me to have a solo adventure.
Well, tough.
How visible are the other three to us? Do they see this happen?
Yeah, you almost made it to them when the force field went up.
Cool.
Now you are reunited. The force field is lifted.
Except we're not quite reunited.
No, the whole gang isn't quite back together.
What the hell was that?
Or transport of some kind.
They're transporting us into holding cells, and then they're letting us blow out of here, and they're not activating, and then they grab just the captain. What the? Do they?
We've worked out she's the captain, do you?
Well, we kind of probably have called her captain enough.
Federation officers,
Yep, they've worked it out.
submit to assimilation. Resistance is futile. Meanwhile, who's in Iskandar?
Oh, Lieutenant Kantos has the bridge, with presumably Lieutenant Zal on tactical and Burov in sickbay, and Major Vlanis on the bridge also.
Okay, Lieutenant Kantos. You're sitting in the very bizarre situation of being in command of a starship with a Romulan sitting in the first officer's chair, with very limited access to reports as they come in, and absolutely no admin privileges because, friendly or not, Romulans still Romulans.
Yeah, no, he's in. The only reason he's in that chair is because he's got info. He's not getting any more info.
Absolutely,
he's
yeah.
provide it.
Pretty much, yeah, absolutely. I imagine you've shut down the panels on the commander's
Everything
chair.
except cushions.
Yeah, the nice cushions, and you can always patch
You can
things
have
through
the
on a
cushions.
case-by-case basis.
It's not allowed else.
Ensign Tarek on Ops reports a down-phased polaron beam is being emitted from the sphere in our direction, Captain. They're scanning us. It's a deep scan.
Right. Anything we could do with shields to block that?
I can try to polarize the shields, Captain, but
See what you
historically it's
see
not
what you
working.
can do to put them off at any rate.
Aye, sir. It's one of those creepy Borg scans where the green beam just moves slowly across you. Sorry, sir, I didn't have time to make the modulations.
Fair enough.
Sir?
What have we got?
I'm getting reports on decks 5 and 6. Force fields are being emitted. I don't seem to be able to shut them down.
Force fields?
I'm getting reports from crew who've been cut off in different sections of the decks.
Is this the bug playing silly buggers with our force fields? Or is this them playing silly buggers with their force fields and getting those onto us?
I'm not sure, sir. There are... Every time I override the automatic systems, it's like... I don't know. It's like there's someone else reacting just faster than I am, sir.
Well, it's definitely the bug, and it sounds from that if it's the automatic systems that are playing up, that's them playing around with our systems.
I'm not detecting any evidence of Borg corruption in the software, but it's entirely possible that if they've gone deep enough into the computer core, I wouldn't find it anyway.
Right.
Permission to go
Right.
and scan the computer core myself, sir.
Yes, of course. So, if you need to grab anybody from engineering or science to speed that up, there's an extra pair of hands. Grab them.
Aye, sir, I'm on it. And Tarek disappears off the bridge, and one of the
In
other.
fact, we've probably got Kingston on the bridge as Stranger's kind of replacement engineer. Kingston, help them out.
No.
Let's get these Borg force fields off our ship.
You get an alert. Who's on tactical now?
So that's still going to be Zal.
Mm-hmm.
Since Tarek was on ops, not tactical, in the kind of helm position that would be Kantos's.
Yes.
That's what I was imagining.
So the phaser banks have just begun a level 2 diagnostic.
Completely without our asking that to happen.
Yes.
Lieutenant, the phaser banks are running a diagnostic on themselves. Level 2.
And you didn't order that, and none of the other security lot ordered that.
No.
Right. How are we getting these bastards out of our systems? If that's what they're doing, which is probably what they're after.
You get a report as well on tactical that the torpedo arming systems have just been isolated from the main computer. That's good news. That is a failsafe in case of tampering. The torpedoes, for the time being, are inaccessible to you and to whatever is
And
doing.
to indeed anybody else.
Yes.
This is again relayed frantically.
Well, that could be a lot worse.
Means I don't
Is-
fully have the upper hand.
Quite.
Federation vessel.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Evacuate the proximity of the sphere or submit to assimilation.
Oh, sod off.
Your infiltration has failed.
Bollocks has it. Right. How are they latching onto us? That's what we need to find out first, and then work out how we are getting out of their range. Whether it's by random maneuvers or just moving out of range quickly and then coming back.
And as that investigation begins, we cut to a quick shot somewhere in an obscure Jeffries tube where a single panel on an LCAR's interface cracks and crackles, and we briefly see a green Borg glyph manifesting somewhere in the dark. Back on the sphere, our away team is having a hell of a time. You are reunited back on the outside of the large assimilation chamber, without the captain, of course, and you are standing looking out over this huge empty area. Very glad you had your EV suits. And if there is a Romulan ship in this sphere, it is not here. This was exactly where it was supposed to be.
Right.
Parked somewhere else?
Well,
I mean,
oh,
if it's...
No, hold on. I'm going to get my tricorder. I'm going to scan for cloaked devices. If I may.
Of course.
Yep, well, you do know that the cloak was damaged. You should be able to pick up an irregular tachyon signature.
I'm able to pick that up.
Well, you should be able to.
Because
Yeah,
otherwise you wouldn't, because it's cloaked.
Make me an ops check.
Shall do.
Crikey, if the Borg did manage to turn on the cloaking device, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the Romulans turned it on before they blew...
That is a 3.
Okay.
We're in a lot of trouble, aren't we?
You have to tweak the tricorder a bit. You don't pick up any signs of an active cloaking device. Sorry, of a faulty active cloaking device. Picking up signs of an active cloaking device is, of course, paradoxical. However, you do pick up what appears to be, or rather what might be, a Romulan transponder signal. It is further in towards the core of the sphere from here. It is, in other words, the other side of this massive open bay.
It's here. It's just on the other side.
And you look up grimly from your tricorder and you say, Commander, there are 6,000 drones between us and the Meraxis.
I'm assuming there's nothing on your tricorder to pick up the captain's comm badge.
None at all.
How far away in terms of distance is the Meraxis?
Just less than a kilometre.
Less than a kilometre.
Right.
Do we have any kind of choice? I mean, if the drones ain't awake, then...
What I'm thinking of, starting to try and think about is in terms of time that it's going to take to get to the Meraxis. Do what we need to do to it. But we also need to find the captain.
Well, we need a lead on the captain. If we else we're just wandering.
Yes. Do we thus need to be running both getting to the Meraxis and dealing with it at the same time as trying to find the captain and also getting the Romulans out?
Well, personally, the Romulans are a little bit low on my priority list right now.
Sure, this is ranking things in order. Meraxis captain. That's very close first and second. Romulans if we can.
It's probably time to look at Talandra as we consider leaving Romulans to die.
It's probably time to look at Talandra as we consider splitting the party further.
I mean, the party's already been split by the Borg, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I have no idea what to do. I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Hooray, I'm in charge of an away team again. So you, me, Vance, and the Sad Boys will get the Cardassians to help and go and punch the Orion Syndicate.
That'll do.
Yeah, cool.
I'm sure there's some Cardassian drones here somewhere. Let me see what I can...
Okay, what are the options?
We go looking for the captain. All we've done is try to scan looking for her comm badge. We haven't tried enormously hard. We press on with the mission and just hope we find some sign of the captain along the way. Hike it a kilometer through 6,000 drones who at this point ain't active. Or we take Romulans and go home and hope the captain can do this shit somehow by herself from inside a force field. It's technically an option.
So we need to look at the facts that we have available to us. The Borg are not. The Borg is not. Talandra wouldn't be grammatically incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
Stupid as me. The Borg is not omnipotent, nor is it omnipresent.
No.
They've taken the captain. Which means they want to isolate her from the rest of us. Which means they have some use for her. The Borg sphere is damaged and not receiving instructions from the rest of the hive mind.
May I posit something, Commander?
If you wish.
These attempts to get in our way, including transporting the captain, have escalated the closer we get to Meraxis. It's true that they have isolated the captain, but I think they are possibly trying to steer us off our current course.
It is not necessarily the journey or the route that we have taken, more the fact that from previous experiences that Starfleet have had with the Borg, it escalates from minimal effort to maximum effort.
It's about how much effort we're worth. Because if they just wanted to stop us, they would.
But that assumes that they have the capacity to stop us with combat drones and direct assimilation. We have not yet been attacked.
And they just left the Romulans inside a force field. Why have they waited without immediately starting assimilation?
The damage to the ship.
From that, can we assume that they can't?
Or at least got better things to do, yeah.
They are currently repairing the sphere. They likely do not have the resources to spare on assimilation.
Which means it has spent resources taking the captain.
Which is why they aren't directly interfering with us, not to the fullest capacity, because they don't have their fullest capacity.
I think have is a delicate word to use. The intent, like they always could wipe out various away teams from reports. It's like, you've got a bug on your desk. You're not always going to be bothered to kill it. You might flick it away. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
You always could. But you're busy. You're working on something. You don't deal with the bug. Eventually, we're going to sting them.
In order for them to comprehend the technology of the Meraxis, it must first assimilate the Romulan crew. Which means our order of priorities must be the ship, the Romulans, the captain.
Yes, Commander.
Point of information, if I may.
Please do. I'm probably talking out of my arse.
No, not at all. Not even remotely. All your plans are very good. I just wanted to remind. I do not know if this has been taken into account.
Probably not.
You have the necessary explosives. What you do not have, because the captain has it, are access codes to get into the Romulan ship deep enough to plant them precisely.
So here's a nested problem. Because the captain hasn't told us anything about the mission, do we know we need access codes in order to access the thing we need? Which is one of those weaselly bullshit things that plot-wise we don't know we need, but might risk just making the session very boring.
I suspect, and I'm sure that Kath will correct me if I am wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that Tharn, who has gone to great lengths to try to accommodate Major Vlaneth, but not to compromise the success of the mission or the safety of her people,
Yeah.
probably persuaded Vlaneth to give enough of a layout of the ship that in the event that the captain is killed or taken,
Yeah, she was aware of that risk.
yeah, there are places they can plant the explosives which will, to anyone's best guess, cause critical enough damage to the ship that the cloak will be destroyed. The downside being that means once you've planted the explosives, you're on a very limited time to get off the Romulan ship before the whole thing goes down, because it's not a precision operation anymore. But my assumption is the captain will have taken this into account and gone, here's plan B if I'm down and you can't, and I for whatever reason can't give you the codes, here's where all the plasma conduits are on the Romulan ship. Blow those up.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah.
so you do know enough to do something, but it means the plan changes.
So I might need this re-explaining to me, because as far as I've understood Romulan ships, once we plant the explosives, there is no time to do anything else on the Borg sphere. But earlier everyone was talking about, like, we'll blow up the Meraxis and then we'll save the Romulans. But, like, if we're talking about an antimatter implosion action...
The antimatter's already gone.
Yeah, you're not wildly off base. It's because specifically where the cloaking device is stored is very heavily armored and shielded. It's one of the only places on the ship that you could blow it up without blowing up the rest of the ship along with it. This is meant to be, in theory, assuming Captain Athan makes it, which she still might. You might rescue her on the way. A precision operation. Look,
But if it's not a precision operation, then it becomes a blow it up, fuck the Romulans, fuck the captain, let's get back to the ship.
That depends on what we do with the explosives. Is the thing like
Yeah, as in if we can't get it into the cloaking device chamber, then it's not a precision operation. And so the choice is get the captain back, it's precision. Don't get the captain back ever or any of the Romulans.
I think that's the default, unless you pull a third way, but that would be...
Those are the two that seem to be occurring to me at the moment.
The third way is what I'm kind of angling towards, because...
Go right ahead.
We could probably jury rig some kind of... basically set it as a time bomb. So it's not we blow it up and then go grab the captain. It's we set it so it's going to blow up in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever we think is appropriate. It's based on some information gathering we could do now. And then while we're in here, sprint off, go set that, grab captain, grab Romulans if we've got time, which may or may not have, and get the fuck out of Dodge.
Yes, you are still right next to the Romulans, which presumably includes their chief engineer. You might be able to figure something out with their help. I mean, you've decided quite reasonably not to take them with you because they're going to slow you down. But
yeah, no, my idea was more mucking about with the explosives we brought with us. But yeah, that's also another option.
Oh yeah, got loads.
I am trying to think what Talandra would do.
Take your time.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll meet next fortnight.
Take 2 weeks.
Because so far, unfortunately, she hasn't been asked, but Talandra's disagreed with a lot of the things that people have said and done. So now she's in charge, things might have to change.
A new regime.
That is your prerogative as acting captain.
That's how training command goes.
Moore's fucking acting captain. Okay. Lieutenant Strange, liberate the Romulans from their prison cell. Ensign Casey, focus on locating the captain.
Yes, Commander.
Not proceed with the plan without all endangered lives in one place.
Yes, Commander.
Yes, Commander.
He starts doing just that.
Okay. Back on Iskandar. Tarek to bridge.
Go ahead, Tarek. What we got?
We have a very strange Borg virus, I think.
Right.
I'm going to be honest, sir. If it weren't for the fact that we were facing a sphere out there, I wouldn't be sure it was any machination of the Borg. It's very clever.
Right.
It
Well,
doesn't seem to be very broad. It's not trying to take control of the computer as far as I can see. It's going for certain systems.
any idea what it's targeting as priorities? What is its goal here? Can you
One
tell
moment. It looks like its next target is propulsion.
Propulsion.
Impulse, to be specific, or thrusters, maybe.
Right.
I can't seem to block it out. We might have to take them offline.
Do it for now.
I'm being locked out. I think you might need to use your bridge consoles for it. I'm being locked out from down here.
Tappy tap tap tap. Tapping things on the chair.
What is your command rating?
Blah, blah, Cantor stats. Command rating is 2.
Yeah, it's saying lockout is security level 10, commanding officer only.
Okay.
Which is weird, because the computer should know that you're in command.
That I'm in command, yeah. Okay. I'm locked out up here, Tarek.
Alright, so leave it with me. I'll see what I can do from down here.
We might have to do some kind of hard shutdown from the engineering side of things rather than from the computer side of things to kind of manually shut them down.
Aye, sir. I'll liaise with engineering and we'll see if there's a hardware solution to this. Who's on navigation at the moment? Someone is on navigation.
Someone is on navigation.
No, it's been left completely unoccupied. You drift slowly through space.
I mean, like, it's the kind of thing that Cantus would be paying quite close attention to because that's their role.
Yeah, so you've probably had it patched through to the captain.
Yeah, I probably had it patched through, even though there's probably somebody actually occupying the chair. Like,
in which case, because you're used to being in command of it, you see it just before you're told about it. The impulse engines have come online.
now who's trying to fly us, and where are they trying to fly us to?
1/8 impulse, heading 183 Mark 27.
Right, where's that taking us towards?
I'm trying an emergency shutdown, but nothing's responding, sir. Attempting reverse thrusters to counter. I've been locked out of thruster control.
And I got thruster control from here.
Sir, all stop. But I don't think it was either of us.
No,
The
I don't
engines
think
have-
it was.
I can't raise them again. We've moved 2.3 kilometers slightly farther away from the sphere, sir.
Away from the sphere.
I'm not sure.
What are they playing at? Why are they playing around at my ship?
Tactical.
Yes.
The navigational deflector has just gone offline.
Navigational deflector just offline, sir. Try and put it back online. I assume I'm locked out.
You are locked out.
Locked out. They're experimenting.
Shields are still holding. You still have shields
Well, that's useful.
for now.
Good.
It's figuring us out. It's just making small adjustments, just figuring us out.
Incrementally trying to adjust us. We need to get that bulk virus isolated or purged from our systems as quickly as possible.
Tactical. Please make me an ops roll.
Garbage. Raw garbage. Let me get my character sheet. Do. I'm going to use one of my... interesting. Yeah, I'm going to use one of my fate points at this point.
Ooh.
For I failed, I would like to re-roll.
What are we tagging?
I'm actually going to tag a worthy foe should be respected.
Yeah.
I'll say fairer than that.
Yeah, it's just I start to kind of get into the mechanisms of this, and I kind of nod, give it another old bash. I get a 1.
Okay. You can't see any. You're trying to get an idea from the Borg sphere if anything's changed there. But it still seems to be in the same state of disrepair. It's It's slowly restoring systems, but they're fairly difficult to scan, partly because they're so large and they have very a lot of their important systems are shielded against sensors. Let me ask a question. Does Iskandar have an astrometrics lab?
I believe we have used one in the past.
I think we have used one, yes. That sounds like a thing we've done.
Super duper. Okay. Astrometrics to the bridge.
Go ahead, astrometrics.
Can you confirm our report that our navigational deflectors have come offline?
Can confirm, yes.
Shit. Sorry, sir. That's very bad news.
I figured it was bad news, but how bad are we talking here?
I would suggest we move away from our current position, sir. It's very unfortunate.
When you say move away from our current position...
The exact position that our ship has just moved into is in the path of a strange matter comet that will hit in 2 hours, sir.
Right.
I would suggest we evade. Without navigational deflectors, our shields will be no good against it.
Right, we've got 2 hours to get those thrusters back online then.
Back to the sphere. Am I ever going to be asked back to GM this group again? I don't know if I'm making friends or enemies here. Back on the sphere. Talandra has ordered the rescue of the Romulans. How do you go about it?
What can we access by way of the doors from this side?
There's nothing, right? There's...
Yes, all of the power components of the force field will be inside the chamber.
That's all right. I've got a load of Romulans on the inside of the chamber. I can give them direction.
We need to shut this force field and make sure there's pressure in this chamber and atmosphere.
Have we lost pressure and atmosphere in this bit as well?
Because it's the same place from where Athan got stuck
Yeah,
down.
but I wasn't sure whether we'd lost it completely or whether it was just quite low.
It's not been restored. No, the Romulans still have it. Obviously, they're not gasping for air, but they're behind the force field.
Right. In that case, I won't give them directions just yet. Right. Let's think. What order do we need to be doing things in? Because we need to get on that side of the force field where there isn't any air to deal with the Meraxus. But we need to make sure the Romulans can still breathe. Otherwise, there's not much point in letting them out. So that force field needs to go back up. This one needs to come down. This lot need to move somewhere else because they've not got any EV suits or otherwise abilities to breathe unless Romulans have developed that capability since I last saw them, which is unlikely.
What's the opportunity that they can in the low atmosphere between here? Because it's not completely without atmosphere in here, Mr. GM. It's not the hard vacuum of space we're in.
Functionally, yes.
Functionally, they're still going to go pop.
Because the chamber that Athan was drawn into when the force field went down was more or less. It's a vacuum the same. It had an atmosphere the same way Mars has an atmosphere.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was just like, it wouldn't do them any favors too. Maybe they could run into a different room was basically where I was at. But yeah.
Gravity is still operational. So in theory, if you set it up right, and before you put the force field down, they held their breath and then resisted the urge to hold it more when the force field went down, they could run to a safe space. But you'd have to set that up.
Not a great option, yeah.
Not a great option. And also, where would we send the Romulans to?
I was just thinking kind of back the way we came. That was as good as I had. Into the empty assimilation chamber.
Not a bad shout, actually.
Unfortunately, my other plan was just including like fucking the power entirely, but then
Yeah, that's too many things fucked at once, I think.
it is.
Right, so empty assimilation chamber over there. There's a force field between the assimilation chamber we're in and the one that we would be sending the Romulans to if we were to send them into the empty one, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so... And that one's still down?
Yes.
Yeah.
You took that down yourself, so you could actually restore that at will.
Mm-hmm. Right, so... And we didn't blow up the one into the planet where the Meraxes is, so that one we could also restore. Because we took that down the engineering way.
Oh, but we have blown up, the one leading to the docking bay. So we can't
No, we
restore that.
No, we haven't. The one we
No.
blew up is the one that got us out of the cell. As far as I know, I've only blown up one force field.
Yes.
It shorted out at me.
Yes. Yes, that's right. You're right. The one leading out in...
Only one of them was,
Yeah.
Kaput.
major. So that force field up. Wait a bit. This force field down. They go over there. That one up. That one down.
I mean, they're trained to LCR. It's not the most unreasonable thing.
What isn't the most unreasonable thing?
Getting them to do that, like, kind of physical undertaking. Again, not ideal.
Depends how. Let's see how up to a sprint they are. I'm gonna go over to the Romulan zone and try and establish how up to running do you reckon you lot are?
None of us are significantly injured. Where do you need us to go?
That empty assimilation chamber over there.
I think we can make it. Ready when you are.
How long do you reckon it'll take you to do it? Just to double check that.
Just on the other side of that force field.
Correct. And then that force field will need to go back up, but that I can do fairly quickly.
10 seconds.
Right.
We'll all stand. We'll all line ourselves up, and we'll be ready to go.
I mean, we've got no air out here.
Yeah, that's why it's going to need to be at a bit of a sprint.
Right. Noted.
Right.
You'll need to grab
I'll
onto
also
something.
need one of you on that side because I've got no access to your force field to go ahead and disable it via whatever means you choose. You can either blow it up or just take a
If
slight
they have
risk.
anything to blow it up.
I don't think have you got anything?
All of our disruptors were disabled when we were beamed on board.
Disabled is fine. Have you got? Do you still have your disruptors with you, even if they're not actually functional?
Yes, we all still have them on us.
Right. See, this is the problem where disruptors and phasers are not quite the same kind of thing. But is there some kind of a cell in them that isn't a power cell, but is the one that kind of causes the disruptor to do its job, basically?
They're phase tetrions. Yes, there's a tetrion cell.
Tetrion cell, perfect. Right, so what we did with ours was we took the Nadian cells out of our phasers and basically rammed that into the power circuits and overloaded it that way. It does cause a bit of an explosion, so you probably want to be able to jump back pretty quickly before then taking for a sprint. That's one way of doing it.
Lieutenant Vance, could you make me roll me a phasers check or a science check, whichever you prefer?
Funnily enough, it's gonna be phases.
Really?
I figured.
That is +2, so that is a 6.
You become a phaser.
Transform
Okay. Immediately upon hearing this, because you know engineers, sometimes they go a bit... The idea isn't terrible, except that presumably you want the Romulans to be alive. You see, the difference between Nadions and Tetrions is being both, of course, real things that I'm about to make up nonsense about. The Nadions, and the reason Starfleet uses Nadions is because you can power them insufficiently to kill. Tetrion radiation released the same way you released all that Nadion radiation would probably just outright vaporize the
There is no
Romulan.
stun setting.
However, that before you say that, you immediately realize that that could be made to work to your advantage. If instead of sticking one of these Tetrion emitters onto the plasma into the power conduit just to charge it, just to overcharge it, instead of doing that, you could take multiple disruptor emitters and try to keep them firing coherently. They're the perfect thing against a force field. The Borg would probably adapt after a couple of seconds, but since the Romulans are going to have to run anyway.
Vance is going to relay that.
I love technobabble.
Good point. I had completely forgotten that. Yeah, Tetrions effectively do not have a stun setting. So, yeah, here's your alternative plan for disrupting the force fields using your disruptors in a way that's less lethal.
Leave it with us. We'll see what we can do.
Give me a shout when you're ready to go so that I can get over to the force field so that I can put it back up behind you as quickly as I can.
Understood.
I hate to say it. Is there any way you can just tell them how to do that and then I'll kind of lead them to it?
Well, not... I could do that, actually, yeah.
I mean, we want some information possibly from your chief engineer, but like, is this going to take you... How long do you think it's going to take you with the disruptors? I mean, are we talking minutes or are we talking a lot of minutes?
A few minutes.
All right, we can wait a few minutes.
A few minutes is fine. Still waiting on Casey finding where the captain's gone.
Casey, you're finding out where the captain's gone.
Yes.
Are you?
Forgive me. You go.
What are your ideas?
We have to presume that the captain still has her badge as a basis. And so I need to find a way of tracking that badge somehow. Even from its point of disappearing, if I've got any readings on the kind of energy signature that took her away, and if I can find any kind of ambient indication of where a similar reading might have happened somewhere on the Borg sphere. If I need to tap into the Iskandar to help with that, I'm willing to kind of bring in those kind of background long-range sensors on that as well.
I like the idea of that, actually. Yes, you could try and relay it via the scanner, which is a big old starship, and you can get a clear signal off it.
Yes.
Okay. So, back in the chamber that you blew up, you blew up a part of the chamber.
Mm.
There are some computer consoles. You could try it there. You don't need access for a couple of seconds in theory.
I will go along with that, yes.
Well, you need to be able to relay all of the information to your tricorder, and then you can read your tricorder at leisure.
Yes. I will do just that.
Okay. Please make me an ops roll. And presuming you want to stay hidden.
Yes. So that'll be a -2.
A -2 for Hands of the Hive.
3.
Great. So you start off thinking, okay, well, you don't want to go straight into any really heavily protected areas of the Borg computer system. So you start off with sensor readings.
Mm-hmm.
Iskandar is still there. It has not been destroyed by the sphere. Using your own comm badge to establish an interlink frequency, you send that to the communications array on the Iskandar. You can't, before you're locked out, which of course you are, you're unable to pinpoint an exact location for the captain's comm badge. However, you believe that she is somewhere between you and the Meraxis.
Huh. Which will be essentially the sound he makes aloud upon detecting that. Huh.
Ensign.
The captain is between us and the Meraxis. I can't pinpoint where, but...
Well, we do not know anything about the topography of the Borg vessel between us and the Meraxis. But it is gratifying to know that she is, as they say, en route.
It's more good luck than we've had so far.
I will, of course, not be able to repeat that trick, but it gives us a little bit more information to work on.
Quite.
After a few minutes, the Romulans report they think they're ready to go whenever you give the command, Lieutenant Strange.
Right. How long will it take me to walk over there and get ready to mash button instant force field?
Yeah, it's essentially you go.
That's how long I will tell them to kind of do a countdown for, basically.
Yeah. Okay. You think you still have, because it was a hardware solution, not a software solution. You're pretty sure you have enough control because it's just a local system. You've basically isolated it. So the only way the Borg are going to retake control of this force field is by physically coming over and undoing what you did. They can't just do it remotely. So you're still in control of it. You can just tap a control and the force field will go up or down as you want.
Okay. Well, however long I think it will take to walk over there and be ready to mash a button is the countdown I will give them to disrupt their force field.
You give the signal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. And the assimilation chamber that the Romulans are in fills with this ungodly bright light as they've chained up 3 disruptor emitters to fire at a single point. The force field is resisting, but it weakens, and your suit's sensors pick up a burst of non-ionized tetrion radiation. Fortunately, not the lethal kind, but the room fills with this greenish light. And the Romulans begin their dash. And when the last one makes it through the doorway, you hammer on the console. Whew. It's not a great atmosphere in there, but there is an atmosphere in there.
Did them nothing.
Guess now we want some information, and we can at most encourage them to try to, I don't know, make their way back. Maybe the Iskandar can pick them up.
What do you need from us?
Where the fuck is...
Right. Ideally, what we'd need from you, because the only one of us that really knows the stuff is our captain, who has been taken by the Borg. Where do we need to best put those explosives to deal with the Meraxis so that they do not get their hands on it? I know that those are secrets you do not want to give to us, but I rather think you'd prefer to give them to us so that we can just blow them up rather than let the Borg get their hands on them.
No disagreement there. The problem is there are only 2 people with the access codes needed to get to that area.
One of them being Major Vanish, and
Yes.
the other.
The other is the Shroud officer who is dead in that assimilation cell.
Oh.
But there might be another possibility depending upon how much explosive you brought with you.
A lot.
We brought forward. What was it?
Isodinium.
Isodinium. There we go. We brought 4 containers of isodinium this big. We have a lot of explosives with us.
That is probably enough. You would need to go to section 3 of the central deck. There's a large nexus of plasma conduits there, and they're definitely connected to the stealth array.
Right.
If you'd have to go. You would have to go to the engine room first. With the core out, you'd have to go to the engine room and ignite the plasma conduits with the backup generator. But once you've done that, your explosives would take out the entire ship. There's no way any piece of technology would be able to survive that blast. The problem being, you would have to be a long way from the ship very, very quickly when the explosion went off, because it would be a very large one.
Are we talking like good cardio, or are we talking we need to magically teleport or mechanically teleport?
You would need to be very sure of the thrust capacity of your EV suits.
Oh, that we can do.
That we can do.
He gives you, the sub-commander gives you some access codes that should get you to the engineering bay. Some override codes so you can activate the backup generators. Talandra, I think.
Hello.
You've been keeping an eye on things.
It's pretty much my job.
Vulcans by default stand on sentry. That's just sort of what they do when they've got nothing else to do. It's a
It is my natural default state.
We see Lieutenant Talandra raising an eyebrow, the most extreme emotional reaction a well-trained adult Vulcan is capable of. And she turns and says, Lieutenant Ensign, I believe we should hurry. And the camera turns as thousands of red lasers switch on one by one.
Nope.
To be continued.
Nope.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, fuck all of that.
That's what I wanted from this session, to end it with everyone just going, nope.
You got it. Oh no.
Yes. My personal mission is accomplished.
No.
Yep, that's a big no.
Big
That's a
no.
huge
Nope.
Okay. One step closer to assimilation, my friends.
one step closer to the beautiful intellectual unity of the hive mind.
Oh, good.
What the hell is that?
That's Emily's camera.
Oh yes, that.
Unless it's the typing noise. I was deliberately.
No.
So thank you everyone for watching part 2 of the old enemy.
Part 2 of Star Trek Iskandar. Nope.
Star Trek Iskandar, nope. No, thank you.
Iskandar.
Things have gone. Iskandar, nah. It has been a mixed day for our pals. Actually, I don't know how mixed it's been.
Universally bad.
Yeah, pretty bad. Very little good.
I won't stand for that.
Nobody's been assimilated.
Yeah,
yet.
speaking as the person who's been doing his best to screw you over, you've managed to get the Romulans out of the direct line of fire, although they are now trapped with a bunch of drones.
Yeah, we have not done that.
Could
There's
we
a reason
have?
that wasn't our first option.
You stopped the captain plapping against a bulkhead and instantly dying, which is pretty
Always
good. As things go. You have a plan B and C for fulfilling your ship destruction mission. I think you've done very well. The Borg are doing a little better, but they will tend to until the very end. So, stay with it. You can beat them.
I feel energized.
I don't know
I
what
have
more
a
I can
plan.
say about that,
It's all
really,
good.
but
Well, at least I'm not going to have to give any kind of updates or captain's logs next time.
imagine if you did, you're
exactly,
surrounded by
I
drones.
will.
Captain's log supplemental. Shut up. We're trying to assimilate. You stop talking yourself. It's really strange.
I'm going to log
Is this where Cantos has to give a acting captain's log of
Yes.
bollocks?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's Cantos'
Once
acting captain's log supplemental.
once again, we haven't got the captain. Talandra can't do it. Kantos is acting captain. Why is this our default? Look, I think Athan and Talandra should just quit and just let Kantos command the ship because they do it more often than we do.
It will turn out that
Don't-
Kantos
don't
is
make them
secretly
do
attracting enemies to you just to engineer situations where you're taken off the ship. This is all about Kantos's CV.
They would have looked
Except-
great.
Now you're so buggered that Iskandar seems to be trying to kill itself.
I'm pretty certain that what's happening is that the Borg don't have their weapons, and this is the best way they can think of destroying the ship.
They are
I think
clearly,
it's well clever,
also
and I'm
pretty
very
cool.
impressed.
they are clearly way more fucked than we thought they were.
They don't have their weapons, but they're like, we can move them.
Yeah.
Where's the nearest fucking terrible thing? Move them, drop their shields. Ha
The thing is,
They don't really need to drop our shield.
the Borg always say, the Borg didn't always say, 7 of 9 always said that the thing she liked about the Borg was the fact that they thought like super on a super big scale. The Borg would absolutely calculate the path of a comet and just slightly move you in its way and go, there, you're fucked. I don't have to fuck you, the galaxy's going to do it. Because they
Yeah,
are
like,
so patient.
As ways of, blowing up a ship go, like, it's a pretty elegant solution.
It
ha!
is,
Super
I
proof.
like it.
I'm
if nothing
happy
else,
If
very
it weren't for the fact that, I'm on that ship.
I'm
You're
happy
also not on that ship.
drones are also a bit fucked. Because, they've been acting weird.
What an exciting time.
on its own time. Well, should I sign off, or do you want to sign off?
Well, I'll need to, if you want to, I need to do the Patreon.
Oh, okay. Well, I can do the bits I know then.
Well, how about I do the Patreon thing and then I'll hand it back to you. It'll
Go for
be a
it.
team effort. So, everybody get your trash bags at the ready for this glorious list of trash fam / reprobates / trash fam. So, thanks and praise be to the bounteous prosperity of Amy C, aka Domitella, Angela Eddington Molyneux, Araloki, who has been in the chat this day, Caffeine Kitty, Chris Gallen, Diego de los Reyes, Henry Prestige, Hobbs 138, James Malloy, aka Muffy Malloy, who has also been in the chat this day, throwing around helps and hinders like they're candy, Joanna Marsh, Lou Sutcliffe, Michael Bowman, Mike Fielding, Mike Kilburn, who's that guy? Red Fox, Socky, Vixie B, and of course, multiple beaucoup de trash bags for everybody's favoritely named trash fam / Patreon, Hannah Handbasket.
Woo!
I said
Back to
handbag.
you, Stable, for such delightful words as are coming from your word mouth.
Thank you for that introduction. And now for my extraduction. Yes, thank you for watching. This has been really fun, and we will be back. Well, Praxis and I will be back this time next week with episode 3 of Under the Sapphire Sun, book 2. And Star Trek Iskandar, the Old Enemy, will be back 2 weeks from now for part 3, I think. Part 3 of 3, it's looking like.
Don't commit to that.
Don't hold me to that. I don't know.
It's not-
We still got role playing to do
Yeah.
around our dramatic demises.
That's very true. So part 3 of question mark of Star Trek Iskandar. We're back in 2 weeks. Do follow the Trash Crew on Twitch if you don't already, because the Trash Crew are great. And they host all sorts of really awesome channels, which do all sorts of things from video games to art to occasionally, even I remember to do my Vampire the Masquerade stream on Thursdays. Who knows what will happen?
We need to get the finale of that. You're teasing everyone.
I know. Oh yes, that by the way, I'm glad I've got a Trash Crew sized audience, not a me sized audience. My Vampire stream will be running on Thursday. It'll be the finale of my Vampire stream, and we are raising money for the Hurricane Idai Relief Fund.
Yes, that's what we were doing.
Throw cash at me, and I will throw it at people who don't have houses anymore.
If you show up, if you donate, I will poke Sable in the face.
Yes, every donation will result in 30 seconds of me being poked in the face and going, no! Ah!
It is as magical as you're all imagining. It's glorious, and I would do it for free, but I'm hurricane relief, you know.
I think Soki's streaming tonight, so I think we should host Soki. I think. Anyway, I don't know for sure. But good night, everyone. It's been splendid to see you all chatting and hovering about. We will see you at various points. Au revoir.
Bye.